Thank you very much for coming here today, and even more thanks for staying on. This is a story that you've probably all heard before, because it does go back about 2,000 years. In fact, Ovid wrote the Midas story as part of one of his a poetic book in Latin written more than 2,000 years ago. And that's King Midas, who existed 2,800 years ago, and he was a king of a small country in Asia Minor. He had a reputation as someone who liked his food and drink, shall we say. He also kept a very fine rose garden. This, of course, is not a photograph of him because it is 2,800 years ago that he lived. You wouldn't be expecting a photograph, would you? This is a photograph, and it's obviously not of his garden. But there's a pristine rose garden for you. And one day, his people found in his rose garden a stray visitor, someone who also had been enjoying food and drink, maybe to excess, fallen asleep in the rose garden. And King Midas's people took the stranger and took him to their king, expecting some recrimination, but there was none. In fact, King Midas looked after the stray visitor, gave him food and drink, looked after him for 10 days and 10 nights before he returned him to from whence he came. And a grateful God offered Midas one wish. I think you all know what that one wish is, that everything he touched should turn to gold immediately. And the God said to him, "Are you really sure?" "Sure, I'm sure," he said. And it works every time. Everything he touches. So for a while, he's a very happy chappie. Very happy king indeed. But when his food and drink turned to gold, and when even his daughter turned to gold, he pleaded with the god to be rid of the golden touch. The god said to him, "Go to the river Pactolus and wash away your lust for gold," which he did. Doesn't seem very happy about it there, does he? And he came to the conclusion that gold is good, but only so long as food and family are there too. And my interpretation of that is that this is the golden balance that Midas was really looking for. He was looking to balance the natural resources that provided his food and drink with the social resources that would look after his children and grandchildren, and the economic resources that he'd mistakenly focused on to the exclusion of all else. Well, as I said, it is a story you all knew, and that's the end of the story, really. But I will just go through it again and see if you can see it in a different context. Context was the word. So there's a business leader 2,800 years later, also not a photo, and perhaps not even a very good representation. And to him, all is looking calm in the rose garden. Stock markets keep growing despite the turbulence that the economies are going through. And nature is offering us choices. And you know what we keep saying to those choices? Let profits improve in all we do. And scientists are saying to us, excuse me if I use this pointer here, are you really sure? We've been talking about what's been going on since 1960. And at that stage, we were still living within one world's resources. as humanity. We've grown now to about 1.5 world's resources that we're using, which depletes the available resource, of course, the accumulated resource, to absorb all that we as humankind are throwing at the natural environment. In 2008, where that dot is, we got to about 1.5 worlds, and there was a scenario that said we could get back to one world by 2050 if we embarked on a program of rapid reduction. But of course we didn't. The red line just continued the purple line, and we're heading for 3 worlds consumption by 2050 if we carry on at the rate that we're going at the moment. Are you really sure you only want profit? Okay, so what's got to be done about it? You can see from this chart, which shows the population in billions on this axis, that between 2 and now 7 billion people, that's 5 billion people, in Asia, Pacific and Africa are all living, not all, are living in total below the carrying capacity of one world. But when you look to the left of the chart, you see that where our businessman's working, we are all consuming way above the carrying capacity of one Earth. So North America is up to about 4 times, Europe about 3, Latin America about 2, and the Middle East above the carrying capacity. And so, really, we have to ask the question, are you really sure? And what's the answer that comes back from the businessman? Sure, I'm sure. It always worked. But if by focusing on profit alone, we destroy the natural capital that feeds us, and we ignore the social capital that we and future generations rely upon, I suggest that we too need to move beyond the golden touch fixation. And we know what would happen if we asked the gods what to do. Go and wash away your lust for gold. And it's not a slide that's gone the wrong way up. It's not a body wash that we need, it's a brain wash. And the 180-degree turn represents something like the change in mindset that we need to get if we're going to rid ourselves of this perpetual infatuation with economic resources alone. So there's Midas's balance. Trying to show you what a triple bottom line really means. We're trying to weigh up our impact upon natural capital, our impact upon social capital, with our impact upon economic capitals. And that's what a triple bottom line means. It may be that this is a metaphor that you can use to engage people within the organisations, because many people in many organisations know that there's something going wrong. Not many know how to deal with it. I'm suggesting, and I've been working on this concept with Mark McElroy, who's written the gold standard, you might say, on sustainability, context-based sustainability in non-financial areas. But we now have called this multi-capitalism. We're not trying to get rid of capitalism, but we're saying that we've got 3 groups of capital that we need to attend to. So there are the 3 groups, and we've got 3 questions that we've got to put to them. The first question is, what represents a sustainable performance in our context for our organisation? And I bet there's not one of you in this room today that can give me an answer about that knows it for your own organisation. It's complex. No one's saying it's easy, and don't expect to get it right first time, because the people that try to do these jobs take years, if not decades, before They really refine these metrics to something that they can share and rely upon. But you've got to start sometime. And that question, that first question, what represents sustainable performance in our context, I believe to be absolutely critical. To apply that to all of those three pillars of the bottom line. The second one clearly is, how did we perform against that? We've got to measure our performance on all of those three dimensions and all of the subdivisions of them, of course. And the third question is the critical one. What are we going to do about it? Because if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? And if there's no action that results from any of this, then is it all just hot air? Are we just in complete denial of the situation? I think, personally, that we've got a real challenge on our hands. I believe that this offers, in multi-capitalism, a process by which we can start to address these issues and look at them internally. We all know that leadership is key to any significant change, and this is a very significant change. And so, as change leaders, I believe we have got to be the catalysts to start that 180-degree mindset change that gets us thinking about balance and not maximising profit. Lots of people to thank for that, but I hope that it's given you an idea of what triple bottom line means and some ways of thinking about how to take it forward in practice. Thank you very much.